anyway, then later on he got transferred to Great Bend. And then he got a car, and then he started coming over because I was working in Mac. So, and then he had a sister that lived out in the country there, that Rosalie, that he could go stay all night with her. But anyway, that we came and got to dating that way. But anyway, it was something else how it all started. But I have not, I still had Farrell's engagement ring, and he had sent $100, but, and we went to meet him when he got off of the train in Wichita, and took him back up home with us, and he was a nervous wreck. It was terrible. He just sat there with one of those knives that you pushed a button and it'd flip out all the time, you know, and he couldn't hardly carry a decent conversation with you. It was terrible. Anyway, I ended up calling his dad and talked to him about it, and they came up and got him. They were down in Texas. His dad was working in an oil field, but they came back up here and got him then. And I don't know, it just, his dad tried so hard to get him to get out of the service. You start pumping up oil wells, what he was doing. And thank goodness Farrell was smart enough. He said, no, they took 5 years out of my life, so they can just take care of me now for 15. And then he was smart enough. He decided he'd send him to school. And he got his college education them last 15 years then, to put in the 20. And he had gone to 7 different colleges altogether, wherever they sent him. And I think one of the worst ones, and I guess after they're in a while, they do everything they can to try to get the guys to go out so they don't have to pay the retirement years.
Yeah.
Thank goodness he didn't. That's what I got a lot of stuff for today.
Yeah.
But anyway, it had ended up, he went to 7 different colleges, and he was able to teach school, and he had enough that he ended up being a principal most all the time from that. So at least he decided and came up with enough brains that he made it work out right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But it like I said, the way he had come back, and then I had been dating Austin. I hadn't married him, and anyway, after that episode, we did get together after that, and then, like I said, he got stationed at Great Bend, and he got a car, and then he got coming over to Galvin, get to see me on weekends, and stay at his sisters and stuff. So it ended up that I did marry him after a while, and I did, and it was ironic after so many years that we did get back together.
Yeah.
He, someplace where he taught school, he had married a lady that was teaching also, and then by that time I had married and had my home where I am now, and so we were getting our class back together again, and he came and he had this different wife, but by the time he came, my second husband that I only had for 5 years, when he died, he built me the house and then died. So when he came back, and it wasn't very long until he got rid of that wife. And he was back up at my folks and called me. And so it kept going a little while after that till we got married. But it was kind of strange after so many years getting back together.
Yeah.
Just like anyway, we had about 35 years. Ron and, what was that gal's name that he was married to quite a while with?
Janice.
Janice. Yeah. Anyway, it was nice out when we were out there, Ron and Janice's too. But they were happy. They ended up being happy for a little while, and it didn't seem like it was long enough. But anyway, we ended up with 35 years, which is kind of strange after all the episodes in between.
Yeah.
Made quite a story out of it.
Where did you live when you and Austin got married?
Well, we first lived in the little house that was right across where my house is now.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't have part of it built on. It was just a little long house at that time. And it was there that I got pregnant, in that house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we bought the house up on the other corner that was right across from Mom and Dad.
Uh-huh.
And he worked a lot on getting that house fixed up. And so we lived there, I don't know, several years. And then he got into, he had been hauling propane trucks. And then thought that we'd make better money if he went into the one that we have one and we had trucks and I kept the books there, and sometimes he carried it, but most of the time he was figuring out where everybody should go and get the orders who needed propane, and all I did was take care of books, sending bills and that sort of thing all the time. Answer the phone when somebody needed propane and that sort of thing. That was the way it went.
Mm-hmm.
And then it worked pretty good for a while, and I don't know, he started running around drinking, and Ron was just about 3 or 4, about that age. And I did most of the time have to take him to a babysitter so I could take care of this office and all. And then after he had run around some and hit me some, I couldn't put up with it. So I got somebody to bring me back home. I just brought.
So was this out? This wasn't in Great Bend, though. This was. Where did you have your own business?
It was. Trying to think. It wasn't. No, it wasn't Great Bend. It was over east. I can't think of that big town where we had that other business.
Emporia?
No. It wasn't Emporia. Parsons.
Oh, okay.
Parsons. And I don't think I was over there much more than a year at the most. And it just seemed like after he got to be so mean, I couldn't stay anymore. So I got somebody to bring me back home, bring what Ron and I had. It was somebody over there that became a good friend, a lady or somebody that I got to get back home. And so then I got a divorce after that. Oh, I don't know. And Curly came into it for 5 years and wanted to adopt Ron, and he was happy about that. And he did. He spoiled both of us rotten. He's the one that built the house for me, and I had my special car, and Ron had bicycles, or he got to get a pony.
Mm-hmm.
So it just went on and on, and he could just about have everything he wanted. I think actually it seemed like he almost cared for Ron more at first than I think he did me, as far helping him get that pony, and he'd take care of it and everything. Unbelievable.
It's nice to have somebody to spoil you a little bit. It's nice to have somebody that spoiled you a little bit.
Yeah. You're having that now.
Yeah.
And I do too. That was the way Curly was. And it was a shame. Of course, he smoked, and that's probably why he had cancer in his lungs.
Mm-hmm.
But and he had never had any children before. He had been married to this Hattie for 7 years, and then he had been married before he married Hattie. But thank God he married her and got that farm.
Yeah.
So that's where all of that's come from now. That
Mm-hmm.
It's still out there for all of you kids. So far, it's helped us a lot.
Yeah.
It hasn't missed too many months of giving us oil check. Well, we usually get one every other month.
Mm-hmm.
But it for a lot of times, it's averaged, I think one time maybe 1,200, but most of the time it's been up 15, 16. I think that's about what was the last time I heard Jeff say about it.
How did your folks, did they like Curly a lot?
Yeah. Everybody did.
Yeah.
That's funny. His folks were Swedish, and his name was Ernest Martin Reuben Emanuel. And nobody ever called him any of his names. It was always Curly, because he did have curly hair. And now, Farrell would let me cut his hair, but Curly never, ever let me cut. There I'd been beauty work for years and years. But he was so picky, he had to go to the barber shop to get his cut just right. And he did have nice curly hair. He didn't think I knew enough to cut his hair. He was a very particular person. And he spoiled Ron and I both. And it was me that wanted a pink house with tan brick on the front, which I had. And I had everything pink in my bathroom. Of course, that one ended up taking my stool. We ended up changing the deal for the sink. At first it had a pink, everything pink. And then that one guy couldn't replace my stool after that. I still think he could have fixed that if he would have, but I couldn't talk him into it, that plumber there.
Yeah.
But imagine that pink tub still there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, then Farrell from day one, that man had to be tearing up something all the time. You know, he started out the very first thing. My kitchen wasn't quite right. I didn't have the stove or anything on that one end. I think that is the very first thing, and built in that oven. That's the very first. And then I think the very next thing was the fireplace in the living room. We didn't have one. And then he always had to have that wood border around. All those things started. And then I think probably he started making those little rocking horses and made 30-some of those. And I always had to make that mane and tail. And then I don't know how he got started wanting to make a clock. And I said it was something to go with him and have him look at a piece of board. Those lines had to be laying just right before he'd pick out a piece of board that he wanted to put into a clock. And then I making 7 of those. And but you know, from high school on, making that cedar chest, that man always loved wood. And you got to admit, your cedar chest looks really nice. Have you ever got it moved home?
No, I think we'll go Saturday.
Oh,
try to get it.
Yeah. And get everything out of the freezer in the house part.